Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to my Beautiful Nights channel. For this video, I'm going to show you guys a necklace that I am working on using beads from the Flex Company Monthly Mystery Design Kit. The theme for this month is called Badlands. And here is the amazing color combination that I got. Now this kit reminds me of a kit I think I got back in 2022. It was called Camp Out. Those colors were so amazing. I'll put a picture up of the designs I made with that kit. And when I started working on this, I right away had an idea of what I wanted this to be like. I want it to be multi-strand, but only in the front, and I wanted a chunky chain for the back, and the only things I'm using from my stash is this chain, these two large jump rings, bronze seed beads, which is under here and under the rivolis, and I'll explain that later on, and two jump rings, that's my own. I have a jump ring here, that's my own. Yeah, they're different sizes. And jump rings for these rivolis here. So, basic necessity things I use from my stash to make this. Alright? Now, when I first started making this, I came up with a layout right away. And I thought it was so pretty. I had these glass beads. They look like citrine to me. They are so gorgeous. I really love them. I had all 7 of them together up here. And had the pendant down here. And these blue beads were down here. And when I put it all together, it looked pretty. But when I went to go hang them up together, the strands were either on top of each other, and if I moved the beads around, then they were too far away from each other. So I had a hard time trying to get the beads to go right, and so I had to totally scrap it and redo it, and I came up with this. And I am so much more happier with this. And whenever I'm designing necklaces like this and laying beads out, I like to use beadboard. I've shown previous videos of me designing, but I really feel like color placement is so important. So for example, look at the dark blue beads in this. I have these dark blue beads here, right? And then I have them down here, and then there's another one here. So the color is dispersed evenly, and it really makes this an interesting design. Same with the turquoise. So there's turquoise in this pendant, and then here, and then turquoise here, here, and then the little ones on the sides. So I always really try to disperse the colors just right so the piece looks good. Now I thought that this time I wouldn't have to do a tutorial on this. I thought I could just put this together and show you guys the finished design, but then I realized there was little things that I had to do when I went to go finish stringing this up that were important to tell you, because just looking at it you can't really see it. So I left this uncrimped so I can show you the little secrets in this necklace to make this design work. Okay, so before I go into the whole layout, let's go to my leftover. So I did use this wire, of course, 2 strands I have here. I didn't use the earrings, which I usually don't unless I have some good leftovers. But these are my leftovers. I did kind of want to use these, but if I did, it would have made this go behind my neck. And I want a chain behind my neck because these beads are crazy heavy. So I wanted a nice heavy chain for the back of my neck. So I don't have a lot of leftovers. I had the check rondelles left over. I had an odd number of those, an odd number of that bead. This I did have an even number, but I ended up using an odd number of them. Okay, and I will be using the lobster claw and the 2 jump rings there. And these crimps, I swear they are smaller because when I went to put the wire through them, I could not fold the wire. The wire was actually tight inside the crimp, so I just flattened it. But they're crazy thick, amazing, I love them. I'm going to go over the first strand that I crimped. So let's see. I guess I'll go like this because then you can see the design better. Okay, I love this compass pendant. I thought it was really precious. Now whenever I make designs like this, when I have this, you know, connection point up here, I try to use smaller beads because it just looks really weird with giant honking, like if I put this bead up here. That would just be crazy. That does not make sense. You want to distribute the weight where your heaviest beads are at the bottom if you can, and going up the sides, but you don't want the heavy beads at the top. So these are ceramic, lightweight. This bead's hollow. This is a clay bead, so that's lightweight. So all the light beads are at the top, and even on this one, I have these ceramic beads here, which are also lightweight. Okay, so in the first strand, I have this check glass bead, the 4mm turquoise, these rondelles, brown rondelles, these metal beads, and then this ceramic bead. Now, I already crimped this strand off, but you can still see there's big holes on this bead. And every time I string projects with beads that have big holes, I always fill the holes. Now, this was something I was never taught. This is something that I experienced for myself in jewelry making and realized that things just look weird when you string beads with big holes onto a string, thread, whatever, that's very thin, and there's a huge hole in that bead. These beads do not sit right. They go left and right because this string cannot stay in the center of the bead. So I started realizing, I think I should fill these holes. And then it wouldn't look like the bead has like a crooked hole in it or something. It would just make sense. So I put bugle beads in this, and I just made sure that I had enough that went from one side to the other. So I think I have 3 short bugle beads, and they're really short bugle beads. I have like 3-4mm. They're actually really weird bugle beads. But yeah, and scrap beads. So let's say you have some beads in your stash, like the silver line ones. Those eventually the silver comes out or it will turn black inside of the bead. I started throwing those away at one point, but I realized, no, I should use these for filler beads, and so that's what I do. I have beads just to fill beads with. So I filled that with the bugle beads, right? And then I did the repeat of this pattern. So there's that bead that stands alone. This is a repeating pattern on both sides. So after the ceramic, I did the metal bead again, the brown, and then the turquoise, okay? And then this here. Turquoise, this awesome metal bead. I'll hold this side up. And then this bead here, this barrel-shaped bead. And this bead, it is barrel-shaped, but do you see how it's like tapered? This side's narrow, this side's wide. So always notice the little details in that. So I made sure the wide part was down here. The metal bead again, and then the turquoise, okay? So see, right there. And then I repeated, well actually I didn't. That one's a different color. I was looking at my camera, not at the mat. These here are opaque, well, transparent. I mean that they are consistent color all the way through. These are not coated beads. These are brown through the entire bead is what I'm trying to say. So I did those back here, but down here I did these check ones, these check rondelles, which are very pricey beads to buy. Those check rondelles are very expensive, especially the larger ones like these. And then I did this amazing spacer bead. They gave us a lot of them in this. And then this bead here, which is really cool, this barrel-shaped bead here. See that? How it changes when you spin it? The metal bead again, the check bead, this turquoise square cube bead, metal bead, and then I did these two. Now these were 2 beads, so I always have to think when I only have 2, like only had 2 of those, only had 2 of those, only had 2 of those. But if I have multiples of the other ones, then I use those on the sides. Make sense? Now, whenever I have a charm or a pendant, I have to rest that onto the wire. I don't like to rest a jump ring directly onto a wire, because what could happen if this gets yanked on or that jump ring gets opened up at all, that jump ring is going to slide right over that wire. So every time I ever hang a charm or a pendant, I always put a seed bead. So I have a bronze seed bead there. I could have done a clear one there, but I went with the dark because my wire was dark and a lot of dark metal and beads in this, so I put a bronze seed bead there, and that is resting on this, so this should never fall off the necklace, right? Makes sense, okay? Now I only had to fill those 2 beads there with little seed beads, but this one here, this one had a lot of little secrets. And if I didn't show you guys this, if I didn't go through it like this, you would just see the design if I just completed this up and you would just think to string these beads. You don't know that there's actually little secrets, little details to this strand here that makes it sit the way that it does. Okay, so I'm going to slide this bead stopper up so you can see what's hiding inside of these beads. Okay, so these here are ceramic. They're lightweight. This bead's hollow, and that's a ceramic bead again. And I had to put, here's these little bugle beads I was talking about. See how big that hole is? Like when this wire is resting on one side, because this is going to lay like this, right, in my neck. See how it's like it's almost a teardrop? Like this wire is all the way over here on this side of the bead, so it does not lay properly. So I fill the bead with these little seed beads so that it stays centered. See, makes sense. Now this bead here is huge, had a giant hole. This one's even worse off with how it lays. So I had to put bigger beads in this. So I did the silver line clear 6OC beads, and it took exactly 3 to fill that. Okay, and I did it again. There's more. See these short little bugles? There's 3 in this to fill that hole. And I just want to make sure that it can get me from the start to the end. So there you can see that's where the beads end, right there. Okay, and then this bead actually goes in there. That's another thing. Because these beads have such big holes, you kind of need a bead to sit beside it, nestle beside it to fit into the hole. So I had to use these with this metal bead because look at how big that hole is. So when I put these little ceramic beads on the sides, see how it just nestles in there? It just made sense. They were meant to be together. And then the 4mm had to be here to nestle inside of this hole. You know what I'm saying? They just all go together. They're family, basically. Okay, so both sides I did that. Okay, my camera's really blurry right now. Focus. Okay, both sides. Okay, they match. And then I did this check rondelle, and then this bead. And really, I didn't think I needed to fill this bead, but I ended up realizing how wiggly it was, and so I did again. I filled this with the little bugle beads. Filled that hole up there so it lays really nice. And then I have, so the check, the polymer clay bead, the mosaic bead, the turquoise cube, large rondelle, metal spacer bead, the brown bead, metal spacer, the bronze rondelle, cube, spacer again, and then this bead. So that's a pattern. Here's a pattern. Here is another pattern. Okay, and then this is a break in the design. So these were actually beads that I had left over. So I only had 2 of each. So if you look down here, 2 of that, 2 of that, and 2 of that square one. So that I used to break up sections of my pattern. Okay, so there's those 3, and then it went into these. Now I just thought I can put these spacer beads down here after these with just the jump ring and the Rivoli, and it would lay fine, but it did not. I had to do more in order for this to work because when I did just that, these were not coming down. They were actually flipping up like this. So how awkward is that, right? You'd think, oh, gravity, they're going to fall down. No, there was too much friction in between these beads, so they would not swing. There was no movement. So after I did this chunky bead, I did the metal spacer bead, but I learned that I had to do 2 11-0 seed beads, and I did the antique bronze because it blends in with these metal spacer beads, and when this is all together, you don't even see those seed beads. They just hide. That's a little secret. And then for these Rivolis, I tried 8mm jump rings. I think they were. They could have been 7mm, and they did not work. They were too small. And this was also why they were flipping up and not down. So I used these oval jump rings, which are kind of unusual. I only have a few of them in my stash. But if you don't have oval jump rings, you can do, I'm thinking, 10mm jump rings. You can also turn round jump rings into oval jump rings using crimp pliers. I've done it before. I've talked about it in videos. I can't point you to a video, but you might have seen the video. So that's what I did. So every time after a chunky bead, I did a metal spacer, 2 seed beads, the Rivoli on the oval jump ring, or you could do a 10mm round. And then I repeated. So another chunky bead, metal spacer, 2 seed beads, Rivoli, okay, another chunky bead, and then here for my center, and also pay attention, these are triangle shaped, okay, so I put the big side towards the center of the necklace, and then a narrow side towards the top, like this. See that? Okay, so down here in the center, I did a metal bead on each side, 2 seed beads, the Rivoli and the jump ring, and then I just reversed the pattern here so that it's symmetrical on both sides. Okay, so just like this. Okay, makes sense. Let's go ahead and finish this off. Alright, so I got my little crimp here. So small, you can barely see it. And every time I do this, I always make sure that I clamp. I have this clamp on there so the beads aren't going to come off. What you want to do, and this seems like it's stupid, right? Stringing projects like this, you think very easy, but over time, after making this stuff over and over and over, there's little flaws that I see all the time, and it's like, man, what do I do about that? So over the years, I've perfected these things. So if I just go ahead and take this and crimp this on here, it's possible there might be a weird twisting thing going on, and it's because I did not lay this out the way it wants to lay and then crimp it. So what I do, I have this attached so the beads aren't going to come off. I'm just going to hold this ring and I'm going to hold this up. And these are going to have a natural curve to them, and they're going to choose which direction they want to lay. I don't know how you can see. This one is curving this way. Okay, so this is going to curve this way. So I'm just going to grab them right now in the way that they want to lay, like this. Because if this is twisted, this ring, right, and then I go to put this on, you're going to see that it's just not laying right. I talked about this in another video where I think I had 3 or 4 strands, and I really noticed it with that piece. Okay, so now I'm going to put my little crimp tube on, and I'm going to go, this is the front, yeah, because my pendant, I'm going to go through the back of this, and I'm going to feed my wire down through the crimp in the front in this direction. Okay, because this is how my strands want to lay, because they have a natural curve thing that they're doing. And I'm going to try to get through the turquoise bead and come out before I go into the yellow ceramic bead. Okay, so just like this. So I want to show you how tight, like this is really tight. Look at the crimp bead. I don't think it's a 2x2 crimp. I think it's a little bit smaller, because look, there's like not much room to fold that crimp. So I just flattened it. Okay, so I'm going to grab the wire here. I like to use 2 pliers for this. I find which one, that's the one that's moving on me. So I have to hold this one. Okay, and then I take this one and pull the wire down. I adjust this, slide all these beads down like this. I'm on frame, I'm sorry. And then pull this down. Okay, now I have to adjust, make sure these are going right. If you have a tail over here, sometimes the tail will poke out, so make sure the tail's not poking out, and mine's not, it's tucked in. That happens all the time. Going back over here. Okay, sliding this down, sliding these down. I have to move this down. I feel like there's a big gap there, and I think it's just my wire doing that. Yeah, it is. Okay, so I'm going to hold this up now. And check it. And I still have to adjust it more over here. Yeah, so I'm going to zoom out because I'm too close. I think I have too much wiggle room. Okay, so I gotta find which one. That's the one that's coming out. So this has to go down. Okay, like this. and use this to pull this down. Now check my space. Much better. Okay, not crazy wiggle room. Like, I still need movement. I need my little charm to dangle, but I think they're going to dangle no matter what, because I got the perfect size jump rings. Okay, so I zoomed out all the way. Alright, I think I'm happy with this. I think it's just right. Now I'm going to come over here and flatten this. And I think that this wire is supposed to be in front. Like that. And I want it to be even with the this one, the loop. I want the loop to be the same size. So now I have to go back in. Okay. This, I believe, is supposed to be in the front. Okay, but I'm just going to get these. It's doing it again. A little bit more. And it's right here. Oh my gosh. This crimp is so hard. I feel like those little pliers just can't do it. I gotta get these big ones and crimp it from both sides. These are really thick crimps. These copper ones, I think they're thicker than the sterling silver ones. It's the first time I've used these. I really like them. I had recently used the gold-filled ones, and I had actually cracked them, so, and I had folded them, so I ended up flattening them, and I liked it better. Okay, I could have had a bad one on. Sometimes these have creases. Cut that off. Oh man, I thought I had it. There it goes. Okay, now that bead pops in there. So see, there is wiggle room. Okay, now I'm going to hold this up and have to figure out, is it this side or is it this side? So I figure that out. I think it's this side. Okay, now what I have to do, I have no idea how long I need this to be. So I make necklaces like this all the time. I have this giant jump ring, this really thick gauge, 16 I think gauge, maybe 14, I don't know, it's really thick. And the chain I'm using, by the way, this is not jewelry grade chain. I got this from, I think, a belt or something that I found at Goodwill many years ago. So it's really good quality stuff. So what I have to do now is I have to go over to a mirror and I lay this up on my chest. I wrap this around this chain and see how long do I need it to be. Okay, and I'll hold the place where I want it to be. Then I'll come back over here, I'll open the chain, remove that, connect it to this ring, and then once I have this attached, pretend it's attached, I put these two together, okay, like this, and I find the center, I open the center, and then I put a jump ring on each side and my lobster claw clasp. And if you want, you can add an extension chain to that and a little bead dangle at the end, which I do have an extra Rivoli, and I could add a little, that Rivoli right there, I could add that to the end as an extra embellishment. But that's pretty much what I do and how I finish this. So this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think the colors are so beautiful. I'm not really a yellow person, but this color combo is just so classy. It's really beautiful, and I love it with the copper. So this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to link the Soft Flex kit down there below in the description bar in case you want to get the next one. And also go and check out Soft Flex's YouTube channel because they also do tutorials with this kit. And thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and make sure you click the bell button so that you get notified whenever I upload new videos, and follow me on my social media sites. I'm on Instagram, Pinterest, and X. Thanks for watching.